Legality, I got a comment saying, oh, if you take drugs that are not prescribed to you, it's drug abuse. Oh my God, how long did you think about that? Probably not really long. And I can take this argument apart in zero. Give me 10 seconds. Marijuana is legal in one state, illegal in the other state. So, it depends on your location if it's abused or not. Really? That's your stance? You sure? Don't want to overthink that? And it also depends on the time that you take the drug, because there's drugs that have been legalized and there are drugs that have been illegalized. If you took steroids in 1985, was okay. God was fine with it. If you took steroids in 1994, God wasn't okay with it anymore. So obviously it's bullshit. But how can we look at the Bible and try to see what makes sense if we can't logically get to it ourselves? So the Bible calls us to be sober-minded. Jesus drinks wine, but he says, don't be a drunk. What does it tell us? It tells us about moderation. So you can do certain things if they are in moderation and you use them responsibly. So you can have that drink. If you stay sober-minded, Jesus wants you to stay sober-minded. He doesn't want you to get drunk. So as you take drugs that change your sober-minded state, then it becomes interesting in a way that should not be done. Then there's gray zones where it's like, if you're depressed, is it okay to take a drug to get out of depression? Is it something that can fix it, or is it a band-aid? And I would always say, go to God first. Try God first. And everything I say is my opinion, from the best information I could gather and the best comprehension I have at the point where I say it about the Bible, about God, about the nature of God. So I can't tell you this is right or this is wrong. I can give you the best estimation, because there's things where it's hard to tell. And this is one of those things. Where is it okay and when to take a drug that somewhat changes your state of mind or your sober-mindedness? Especially when your constant state might be one of depression. It is really hard to tell. You should seek God and try to get through it through faith and God alone, through that depression. And if your faith is strong enough, I think you can get through it most of the times. But faith is not just earned. Faith is also given. You can't just be like, I want faith, and you have it. It's a lot of work, and you have to ask for it, and you have to get the blessings to receive it. It is a really, really tough question to answer. And certainly there's people that have benefited from it, even Christians. So it's tough to say. But what is legal is definitely not always right. That I am sure of. Because, and I talked about that before, there are laws that are in place, and they are not righteous according to the law of God. And according to what most of the people would also, and most of philosophers would say and come to that conclusion. But still, we get mandates for medications that are not proven to work, really, or to be without any bad side effects. And still they are there, and still most of the people agree. God would not agree. And it happens all the time, and it happens throughout history, and it repeats and repeats and repeats itself. Because we stray away from the principles of God's nature that He taught us, that are right and that have proven to be right and that always be right. Morality, God's morality, is always right and will be. And there's no circumstance that will change that. But our society changes and laws change, but morality doesn't. And therefore, sometimes the stronger or the majority can oppress minorities or weaker people. And it is democracy. Whoa. And it is the law. And it is what society thinks is right. But it is oftentimes still what God says is wrong. Slavery was the stronger making the law. In democracy, the majority it's suppressing and oppressing people that are the minority because they think they're right, but they're still doing things that are against God's laws. And it always turns out to be wrong. And at the time, people are so convinced. But the people of God always knew and always know. And it is always tough. And I pray for that, honestly, every time that God puts the right words into my mouth and gives me discernment, and that I don't deliver a message that is not okayed by Him. And this is really tough when you talk about these things, that you have to be aware that you could be wrong, and you pray that you're not. And you don't put out things lightly. I pray that God speaks through me. But am I sure? No. You can't ever be 100% sure. And if you say you are, that is dangerous. That is dangerous because you stop reflecting and questioning, and then you're in a state. Those people that are 100% sure, they might be very convincing, and it might be very tempting to listen to them, but I'm very sure their hearts are deceived and they're not in the right place. Because if they're that sure, they're either so blessed by God, and God is so much speaking through them, that we rarely ever see, or they are wrong, and you should not listen to them. So always be careful, and also reflect on what I say. I am not the authority. The authority is in the book. And if I am wrong, I want you to hold me accountable for it. I'm very serious about that. So please criticize me, but please also be gentle and genuine and good faith.